You guys know, I love a good scandal. I love scandals. As a matter of fact, that show Scandal used to be in my show until the writing got strange. We ain't even gonna go there. The point of the matter is that I love scandals if I'm not involved. If it's a scandal about me, I don't love it so much. But if it's a scandal about other people, I love to hear about it and muse about it and listen about it. As long as it's nothing that's really too, hurtful, little gossipy scandals, those are my favorite kind. So today I made a list. I made a list for you guys of the top 10 Aquarius scandals. Okay, I looked through history, I looked through Aquarius that I have not told you guys about before, and maybe one or two that we've touched on. And I'm going to tell you some of the biggest scandals. Aquarius, I told you, set it off. And we have some of the biggest scandals of all time. So I'm going to tell you about them and tell you why they're interesting. Some of them are funny, some of them not so much, but they're all extremely interesting. So I'm Queen Osset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, pass it on to somebody else who might like it too, and don't forget to drop us a positive comment in the comment section. Likewise, if you have an opportunity to, please stick around to the end of the video, because I also have two of my favorite positive comments from a previous video that I want to read and respond to. Likewise, if you want to get a reading done, please email me or hit me up on social media. That information is underneath this video. You can also send me a gift if you would like to on Amazon. My Amazon wish list that comes directly to my apartment is underneath this video. If you want to give us a love donation, my PayPal information is underneath this video. If you'd like to become a patron on Patreon, that's underneath this video. So check out underneath this video. There's a lot of cool stuff. Okay? All right, guys. So let's talk about our top 10 Aquarius scandals. And these are not in any particular order. They're all so scandalous. I just was like, I wrote them down. As I found them, I just wrote them down. Number 1, Alice Walker. Alice Walker is an Aquarius that was born on February the 9th of 1944. Alice Walker is the famous author of the book A Color Purple. Now, many of you remember, is it A Color Purple or The Color Purple? It's one of the two. And remember, it was a book first. She wrote the book, and then they did the movie. Steven Spielberg did the movie with Oprah Winfrey and Whoopi Goldberg, Danny Glover, like a whole, cast of people who are now extremely famous. So, Alice Walker, when she first wrote A Color Purple, and when the movie came out, she took a lot of heat. Alice takes a lot of heat all the time. And that's why I wanted to talk about her, because her scandals are twofold. Her first scandal after she came out with the book was that a lot of people of color were angry with her about this book. Now, it's not by far the majority. This was a very popular book, and I adored this movie, and I never read the book. I heard the book, of course, is better than the movie, but I never read the book. But I do adore the story. I love the tale. And when she came out with it, a lot of people were angry with her, because a lot of people, especially people in the African American community, are tired of seeing the old downtrodden, energy from the black community, the negativity. Like, every movie you see is either negativity, gang banging, hip hop, enslavement. It's always negativity. So a lot of people, not the majority, because the majority love this book and this film, but a lot of people that had complaints, the critics, felt as though, here we go again, another piece of literature, another piece of artwork where black people are downtrodden and the black man is awful. I mean, the black man is awful in this movie and in this book. So a lot of people were upset about that. But to me, I didn't feel that way about it. I felt as though it was showing some really real situations that happened. These stories that she talked about are things that happen. My aunties and my uncles and people have told me these stories. So the kind of stuff that she was talking about went on. And you can't get mad at her for talking about and putting in her book, even though it's a fiction book, things that went on. It was more along the lines of art imitating life, and people didn't like what they saw. They didn't like the imitation. So I'm like, well, if you don't like and you don't like that vibration, in the present tense, you change life. If you want art to look better, change life. But this is about the past. This novel and this movie is about yesteryear, I think it might have been like the 1920s or so. It was a long time ago. It started way back and it ended somewhere in the 70s or 80s. So we're talking about a long time ago. But she is telling a very valid story. So she got a lot of slack for that. She also got some flack recently because she was accused of being anti-Semitic. Now, I don't know if she's anti-Semitic or not. I did find evidence that she's very pro-Palestine. And some of the times when you're pro-Palestine, you get automatically labeled as being anti-Semitic. So I don't know if that's the case or not, but that is a controversy, that is a scandal that is going around about this famous Aquarius author. Number 2, our next famous Aquarius is Meg The Stallion. Meg's birthday is February the 15th of 1995. Meg is young. Meg is like my daughter's age, actually, now that I think about it. She's a baby. Meg was shot in her feet by her boyfriend. This happened recently, as a matter of fact. It happened this year. And not only did this fool shoot this poor child, and it's just like, when I heard this story, I wanted to choke him. I really was angry with him. Not only did you shoot this poor child over God knows what, they could have been in an altercation, I don't know. Some people say she was beating him up and and he shot her, to stop her. That's what some people say. The first thing I said was, number one, you don't have to shoot a woman to get her off you. I had a woman who was taller than me attack me, and I didn't have to shoot her to get her off me. That's number one. Number two, they said that he did not admit that he shot her. Cool, no problem. Most people who shoot people don't admit it. It's not something I wouldn't expect. But he then went on to make a song about it and claims in the song that she's being, dishonest. But there's a video that shows after she got shot. And the thing that upset me about this the most, let me tell you, was Meg, at the time that this happened, they got stopped by the police. And Meg did not tell the police what he did because she didn't want him to end up on the local news and be a hashtag on Twitter. She didn't want him to be the next, person who was the next Breonna Taylor or the next person of African descent who was murdered by the police. So when the cops came, she didn't even tell on him. Okay? So that's how much she was looking out that, yeah, you just shot me, but I'm not going to tell because I don't want to see you get murdered or harmed in any way. Because she knew that, yeah, he might have just shot her, but you still alive. And that's the one thing I had to say about it. I was like, well, thank God he didn't kill the poor child, because that would have been tragic. So, yeah, that's the scandal that Meg got into. I just hope she finds somebody that treats her better than that, because that's ridiculous. Our next famous Aquarius is Yoko Ono. Yoko Ono was born February the 18th of 1933. So many of you might not even know who Yoko Ono is. Those of us old heads, we know who she is. Yoko Ono, and the reason why she's on the scandal list is because she was in a relationship with John Lennon. Now, there is a lot of stuff written about this. Written about her, written about when they broke up, they got back together, she had his baby. There's a lot of stuff written about this. But the reason why it became a scandal in the first place was because a lot of people said that it was her fault that John became so distant from the rest of the Beatles. And I mean, that's neither, it could have been, could not have been, who knows? He might have had beef with them. We don't really know because we're on the outside looking in. But a lot of people started to say that, and a lot of people disliked her because of it. So she got a bad reputation for being that bee that broke up the Beatles, or that, impeded their relationship in some kind of way. Because I'm not even sure if they broke up before or after he got with her, but people just kept saying that he distanced himself after her. So they blame it on her. I don't really know. But during that time period, the Beatles were a big thing. The Beatles were as big as BTS. They were huge. The Beatles were big like Michael Jackson, So during that time period, anybody that did anything, that cause any issues with the beloved Beatles, I mean, nobody's gonna like you. So I don't know if that was really fair to our Aquarius. Our next Aquarius scandal is Sharon Tate. Sharon Tate was born on January the 24th of 1943. And Sharon Tate, Sharon did not do anything. She's an innocent Aquarius, minding her own business. But the reason why she's on this list is because the Manson family. You might have heard of Charles Manson and the Manson family. Well, for any of you that don't know the story, that story is definitely worth looking at because there's lots of documentaries on it on YouTube. Definitely something you should look into if you don't know the story of the Manson family. But the reason why Sharon Tate became famous is because she was murdered by the Manson family while she was pregnant. She was a famous actress. She was married to some bigwig in Hollywood, She was pregnant by him. And the Manson family, led by Charles Manson, they were this group of I'm going to say hippies. During that time, hippies was a big thing. So they were like this group of hippies that all lived together. And he was like their teacher, father figure. But he was very, off, bloodthirsty. And one of the things he wanted to do was he wanted to begin a race war. And so his plan was to kill a bunch of high-profile white people and blame it on black people. Now, this didn't happen, of course, because the murder happened. It was so sloppy. I mean, they went to jail almost forever. I think he died recently in jail, and the other 3 women that were with him, they're still in jail. And this happened in the 1960s and 1970s. I mean, this happened before I was born, I think. So this happened a long time ago. So that was a big scandal. It was news. My mother even talked about it. I've seen documentaries, newspapers. This was huge. And she didn't really do anything. They just became fixated on her because she was one of those high-profile targets that Charles wanted to take down, and thought that it would start this race war, and then he would be able to, I don't know, I guess they would be able to take over the world or something like that. But the whole thing is just ridiculous, and I feel so bad for her because, I mean, she was pregnant, innocent, pregnant, probably happy to be a mom. I just feel bad for her. So that particular scandal was a huge scandal. Remember, before the internet, if a scandal happened, it was mostly on the news and word of mouth. So for something to get international attention is a pretty big deal. And this particular case definitely was seen all over the world. Number 5. Our next scandal is Brandon Lee. Brandon Lee is the son of Bruce Lee. So if you're into martial arts, Bruce Lee was probably I don't know a lot about martial arts, but I know he was one of the best of the best of the best. And he would do movies, and my mother used to watch those. They would come on TV back in the old days on our black and white TV, and my mother would watch Bruce Lee. He was the man to her, you know, and to a lot of people. Well, Bruce Lee died under some strange circumstances, like some kind of accident that happened on the set. So he was, you know, he was a very loved person. Well, he had a child. I think it was more than one child. I think it was two. But the one child was a son, and his name was Brandon Lee. So Brandon grew up to be like, okay, I want to get into the stuff my dad did, movies, you know, martial arts. And Brandon was born February the 1st of 1965. Well, he was shooting a movie called The Crow. And The Crow is actually a movie you can watch. The main character, that's Brandon Lee. And on the set of that film, he was murdered. They said he got accidentally shot or with a bullet. It was supposed to be a rubber bullet, and it was a real bullet, and he got killed. Now, the only reason why this made the scandal list is because the same thing happened to his father. So this is eerie. This is creepy as fuck. It's like how you die the same way your father did all these years later, you know? And it could have just been an awful accident. It probably was just an awful accident. But a lot of people question, was it really an accident? So I don't know. I haven't seen any really good evidence to the contrary, but it does seem weird that a father and son both died in exactly the same way decades apart. That is strange. So I'm not sure about that one. We're going to have to dig a little deeper with that one, Aquarius. The next one is Alicia Keys. Alicia Keys was born January the 25th of 1981. Another baby. Well, she's closer to my age, actually. I was born in 77. Alicia Keys stole this lady husband. At least that's word on the street, okay? Word on the street is she stole that lady husband and married him and bust out some kids. Now, I have to say, I don't know if that's really what happened. That's the rumor. But according to Alicia and her husband, who do have a reason to lie here, but could be telling the truth, they said that he was separated from his wife when him and Alicia got together. So technically, if a person is separated, not living with the other person, they claim, if they're not living together and they're separated, technically they can date. I mean, that's open season. The thing is that we don't know if that's the truth or not. That's just what they're saying. So I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. If they say that they were separated, maybe they were separated. But if you ask the internet, she's a home wrecking hussy. Okay? That's what the internet says. So I don't know. She might have stolen, and she might have just been around when he needed somebody and he was single and they started to see each other and realized there was something real there. You never know. Number 7 is Brandy. Brandy is a R&B singer. She was born February the 11th of 1979. So I was 2 when Brandy was born. And Brandy, she had a little scandal. She had a lot of little scandals. Brandy's one for little scandals. And she had a baby. She had a baby girl. And that was the scandal that they were talking about on the internet. Because what happened was she got with this dude and had a baby. And tried to pass, I don't know if it was her management team or her mom or her, but they were trying to pass off this dude as her husband. Now, I don't know if they were legally married or anything like that, but when she had the baby, they were trying to pass them off as this family. And it was a lot of holes in the story, and a lot of people just never believed that that's what happened. A lot of people think she got pregnant by accident, and then her management team tried to clean up her image, because Brandy always had a pretty squeaky, good girl kind of image. And those kind of girls aren't supposed to get pregnant during the booty call. You know what I'm saying? That's not supposed to happen. And when it does happen, a lot of times their management team cleans it up, covers it up, things like that. So Brandy and the baby was the scandal. And she gets into little small things here and there. Like there's been this whole thing with Brandy and Monica. Do they really hate each other? That's been beef back and forth. I think that's more of a contrived beef though, personally. Because I saw them do a versus. I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw pieces of it, and I was like, they don't look like they hate each other. They look like they really kind of indifferent. It didn't look like this beef that the internet had played it up to be. Number 8 is Abraham Lincoln. Anybody that remembers the U.S. presidents knows about this scandal. Abraham Lincoln is an Aquarius that was born February the 12th of 1809. And the scandal is he was assassinated on April 15th, 1865. He was at a theater. I'll never forget the story because my teacher told me when I was a little girl, he was at a theater, and I think the gentleman's name was, John Wilkes Booth, if I'm not mistaken. And this person shot the president. Remember, President Lincoln was the president during the time of the Civil War. And the Civil War was a really violent, bloody time for the United States, brother against brother, literally in some cases. And unfortunately, Lincoln's assassination was part of that bloody time. So this particular scandal happened because the president of the United States was gunned down. So again, innocent and really no fault of his own, just doing his job, and somebody didn't like it. Number 9, Thomas Edison. Now, I'm going to do Thomas Edison soon as a famous Aquarius, or maybe an infamous Aquarius after you hear this story. Edison got a lot of issues. The more I read about him and look at his documentaries, Edison seemed like a very unkind person. He had a difficulty with competition. He was I don't want to call him a thief, but there's a lot of people who said he cheated them, including Tesla. Now, Tesla is another famous name, a famous scientist. Tesla is a genius. We're still using some of the technology that Tesla came out with way back then. But anyway, Tesla was also a Cancer. So, according to this, Edison was born February the 11th, 1847. And Tesla, the Cancer, came to the United States he was from Europe. He came here to set up his life and sell his inventions and do that kind of thing. And it seemed like Edison was jealous of him. That's the energy I got from it. They said Tesla arrived with 4 cents in his pocket and some old clothes. So he was serious about his hustle. And he came to the United States, started to work for Edison. And Edison was said to steal his ideas, didn't compensate him properly. He was said to do a bunch of things, and then Tesla quit and went to go do his own thing. But Tesla isn't the only person who has claimed this about Edison. So I'm starting to think Edison is more infamous than we know. Likewise, they said that after Tesla became famous for some of his inventions and started to get some notoriety, Edison started a smear campaign against him, saying that his forms of energy were dangerous, and he staged all kinds of little publicity stunts to try to say that Tesla's technology was dangerous, and it wasn't. So Edison, I didn't even realize. I thought Edison was just an old stuffy white dude, I didn't think he was going to be this treacherous. But Edison is definitely treacherous, and his scandals I'm going to tell you much more about. But this is the one that made the list, his beef with Tesla. And I think it's interesting that Edison is an Aquarius and Tesla is a Cancer, because I love Tesla. I've seen documentaries about him before. I've always loved him. I think he's a genius. And it's interesting because usually I'm somebody who would like Aquarius, but in this case, I can't stand with Edison on that. Edison was wrong for that. He was wrong for all of that. And the last one is Edward Smith. Edward Smith's name may not ring a bell, but I guarantee you heard about his scandal. Edward Smith was born on January the 27th of 1850. Okay? Edward Smith was the captain of the Titanic in Aquarius. Now, according to history, many people blamed him for Titanic sinking. His body, I don't know if it was recovered or not, but he died. He went down with the ship. It's very common for people who are in charge of these large crafts, ships and airplanes and things like that. It's very common for them to die if there's a disaster. Many of them stay with the boat or whatever the case is. I personally wouldn't. I would be like, well, I'm gonna get this lifeboat and we're gonna try this again next week. But there's a whole different code of honor and code of ethics, and so he believed it was his duty to go down with his ship. Very principled, very Aquarius. And a lot of people say it was his fault because they said that if he had seen the iceberg in time, I think he was sleeping and it was some men on deck, but it was just said that he did not turn it in time. Now, some people have disputed this. Scientists have disputed it. Some even said it wasn't the fault of the iceberg that it sunk. That just already, they say it was a pre-existing problem with the engine. A lot of people have a lot of different theories about this, but there is a large group of people that blame this poor man that died with this ship. And they're like, yo, if he hadn't been sleeping or if he hadn't been more diligent or blah, 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 the Titanic would not have sank. Now, that could be the case. Maybe, because some people said he might have been speeding. Maybe he was, had the boat going too fast and things like that. And if he had been going at a different speed, he would have had time to turn. A whole bunch of theories have come out about this. Scientific ones. I've seen reenactments of Titanic. So some people say it was his fault and some people say it wasn't. I don't really know because I'm not enough of a scientist to know if it was really his fault or not. I just know a lot of people say that, and he blamed himself, which is why he stayed on the ship and drowned in the ship. So that is our last Aquarius scandal for today. Let me know what you think about these. Let's take a look at our positive comments. Number 1 came from Aquarius 3G Baby. What's up, Aquarius? Aquarius 3G Baby said, new subscriber here. Oh, thank you for subscribing. You have a really nice smile. I believe all Aquarius have nice smiles. And I'm a third decon too. It's like you're in my head. Laugh out loud. You're telling the truth. Laugh out loud. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for making a comment. Every last bit helps. Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome. Roosh Glenna. Hey, Roosh. Roosh always has some good comments. Roosh said, I will never trust anyone again who betrays my trust. You only got one time to betray me, and I'm not going to trust you no more. Now, you can redeem yourself or do things to change that, but it's not going to be like, you're going to work for it. You definitely going to work for it. If somebody betrays my trust, I generally don't deal with them no more, to be honest with you. That relationship is generally over. But if it was somebody who was really important and I was open to allowing them to have another chance, they're going to have to really show and prove, and not no lip service either. They're going to have to show, that's going to be the bottom line. All right, guys, it's time for me to get going. So come back soon because I got a lot more to say. See you later.